is the Rushmore show where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Andy, this is going to be a banger. It's going to be fun. I've been working hard trying to nail out this list because it might be my biggest so far. It's pushing that cartoon limit. That cartoon limit was really high, but I think I got like 63 on the list. I'm serious.
Insane.
It's insane. It is insane. It is insane. But there's a lot of nostalgic that comes with what we're doing today. Hey, look, if you're down in the comments, say hello. Tell us where you're finding from. There's Kev. But
You
hey, look.
yo. I think you meant yo.
Yeah. So hey, today it is movie soundtracks. Andy, you mentioned in the comments in our little chatty chat that you are going to make me mad today. So I can only assume you have put some crazy criteria on your list that you have to subtract half of the bangers. So what are you doing today? What you doing?
Look at Real Life Perspective shows here from Texas.
Hey, Real Life Perspective will be on the show in a couple weeks. We're doing 90s country. Welcome to the show, Sean. But hey, Andy, tell me, what are you doing?
So I love soundtracks. I love movies. But I'm here today to ruffle feathers. Okay. Feathers will be ruffled. I don't know what that means. I like Ruffles potato chips, so I don't know if it's good for feathers. But I think, and we'll talk about it in criteria, dude. There are a billion soundtracks. I mean, there's that as many movies as there are ever. There are that many soundtracks. So like we go to four, right? I love what I'm hearing here. Don't give it away, Iowa.
Pringles are also delicious. They are. They are. Hey, so look, Andy, this is what I'm going to tell you. We like to do this. We make our own rules. We make our own criteria. Yes. I had to put in some subtopics inside in order to make this all fit right and work right, because I'm telling you, we've got about 7 shows worth of material inside of these soundtracks. Zach, sports cards and collectibles. Zach, hopefully you will come on the show during sports. We would love to have you, but yeah, love Pringles. Hey, so Andy, I think we should jump in to our guests because we got some awesome guests today. I have been excited for this one for quite some time. We've been talking for a couple months now, I feel, and I reached out to him, and this is going to be exciting. If you guys know us, what's up, Robert? If you guys know us, you know that we love the Christian community, and we've got some banger of friends today. That's the word for today, banger. All right, so look, we are going to get into your Rushmore of movie soundtracks. Let's get it. Hey, welcome. Let's get it. So, hey, as you can see, we've just left video games. If you're here for video games, I'm sorry. That was the last 2 months. We are in the second week of the second week of music. And today we're going to do movie soundtracks. We've done video game soundtracks. We've done cartoon soundtracks, basically. We've done television intros. We've done all kinds of stuff. We've done music intros. Now's the day. We're finally getting the movie soundtracks out of the way. And we have some fun guests. So, Andy, you know just as well as I have that I have been working the streets trying to connect with people on social media, wherever we can find folks. I've been in and out of like Zach's chat. I've been in and out of Sean's chat. I've been in and out of all kinds of folks trying to find friends that have like-minded ideas, folks that are in these worlds. And guys, if you don't know, both Andy and I are youth pastors. And so we have started what's called Reboot Ministry. It's down there in the comments and not in the comments, but right there in that picture, boom. And we are launching a ministry. So we've been connecting to a whole bunch of Christian geeky creators. And these guys are right there with the line of folks that we love to hang out with. And we are welcoming to the show our very new friends, and hopefully will hang around a bit and stay with us. We're going to welcome to the show, first off, Dave and Cody, pop culture pastor. Guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to Pop Culture Pastor friends. The podcast is here. So, Cody, Dave, tell us all about Pop Culture Pastor. What are you guys into? What are you doing? I saw that you were in Kansas City at Planet Con. How'd you get started? And tell us maybe one thing that's one of your fandoms. Like, just throw some of that stuff out there.
Okay.
Who's gonna go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Dave.
Cody can take a seat. A couple years ago, my pastor said something along the lines of, it was half joke, half prophetic, right? Like he said, you should be a missionary to Comic-Con. And I didn't think much of it at the time, but I went through some channels. I talked to some people that were in the AG, and eventually we started this podcast. Now, we were already doing Christian radio. We were already doing a radio show. And so it was just kind of a natural thing. And we thought, hey, let's do this podcast on something we love, which is pop culture. And we wanted to just do what you guys are doing. We want to build community. So the whole point of our podcast is, and we want to take it and leverage it and go out to comic conventions, right? Because what we believe is that the world out there is going to try and divide us with what we don't have in common. That's the status quo of the world. What we want to do is say, hey, we actually have way more in common than what we don't, and we want to use that to bring us together because we're better together, and that's basically what we want to do.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We might steal some of that for sure. Cody, how'd you get attached to this guy? I saw the pictures. He's like twice your height. Like, what's going on?
So in our community that we are both pastors in, there's a Christian youth ministry called the Fire Escape Coffee House, and they have a radio station. And so one day I kind of bugged Dave to be a sidekick and be on the radio show. And then Dave got this calling into being into pop culture pastor. And that has kind of sucked me in, and I've come along for the ride. And I just love being out in the marketplace, because so often within the four walls of the church, you're expected to do this or act like this. And that's not what the early church looked like. And it's not how you really connect deep with people. And so I'm hoping that this kind of opens the eyes and ears of the church to see, yeah, there is a whole mission field that we're missing, and it can be addressed through very simple things that we all have in common.
Man,
that's good.
I love that. Man. Very similar to what Andy and I kind of envisioned when originally we started the Rushmore show. For our friends out there that are maybe new around here, we started it just as a conversation to stay connected. But we always knew there was a bigger picture. We always knew there was something. In the beginning, I used to say we're going to try and raise money for some kind of, cause or something, if you will. And it all was kind of laid out in front of us because our inspiration, Geek Devotions, and a couple of the other guys, they were already started doing this. And I was in shock when I got saved and I found someone like Geek Devotions. And so when I was in school, I was told I was to reach the abandoned, the afflicted, the addicted, and the alone. And then it kind of hit me at the last con. I was like, all these friends that are walking in here are the abandoned, the afflicted, the addicted, and the alone. Might not be the same thing what I originally thought I was going to reach, like people on the streets, but it is very similar in the four words and within the four walls of those conventions. And we thought, hey, well, let's leverage this. So you guys out there, you're going to start seeing some more content happening on a side with what we're doing. And so be ready to kind of jump in and check that out. Andy, bro, I'm excited. It is movie soundtracks. Oh, well, let's say this. Guys, where can they find you?
We are a podcast. We're on YouTube. You can look us up on YouTube. We're pretty new there, but it's not video. It's just our logo on our audio podcast. And then you can find us. What's that?
Someday we will be video.
Look at this pretty face. Who wouldn't want to see this pretty face?
Come
right?
on, man. More beards on YouTube. More beards.
We need more beards on YouTube. There you go.
The podcast is on the big ones. It's on Apple. It's on Google. It's on Spotify. Cool. We like to point out Good Pods too. I think I like what Good Pods is doing. So go check it out there.
Nice. Awesome.
Great. So this is how we do things around here. We need one of you to go first, and then the other one will go second. This month, Andy is going last because music is his jam. So he gets to hear he gets to hear everything we say, and then counterintuitive come and see if he has to change his picks.
You guys
change their picks on the fly all the time. So
do you remember the show? Was it Battle of the Nerds, or what was it? What was it? Like the game show where it was like each person was like a nerd about no, it was a video. It was like a game show where they were like a nerd about a certain thing, and they had to stump them or whatever it was. Anyway, I just thought about that.
Remember, I brought the Beauty and the Geek up in our TV show, and you guys all were like, "Yeah, that's stupid," but I thought it was awesome.
Anyway, this is part of being live. We could just interrupt it.
Welcome to the show, man. I see we got 6 folks in there. Say hello. Drop your top 4 movie soundtracks in the comments. And hey, so who's gonna go first?
I'll let Dave.
Dave, you're first. He's gonna let you. Nice. That sounds like you were voluntold, Dave. Dave, you're gonna go first. This is what we do first before we do anything. We let the audience know what you were thinking when you were curating this list. This is the reason. When we first started, we realized that these lists should be a lot easier than they are. We shouldn't spend as much time building them than we do. But if you know us, we've been working on these lists for weeks sometimes. And once you get dug into it, you go down the spiral. So when you went down the hole and you started getting your picks and your comments, what was what you were thinking about, why you picked them? And then we're going to start off with Rosie. Do you want some dinner real quick before you start?
Yeah. So when I started thinking about soundtracks, you go through all like the self criteria, right? It seems like a lot of the great soundtracks are like Tarantino-esque, where he's taking a bunch of old songs and he's putting them into his movie, and it's eclectic, it's different. And it does, like, what he does is great. He picks out great music for his movies, and they just match up well, and they kind of become the personality of the film as well. But to me, like, I didn't want to pick a whole lot of those. Like Guardians of the Galaxy would be another example of those kind of soundtracks. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have more where there was more original music made for the movie by artists. So I kind of leaned that direction. But man, soundtracks were so big to me growing up. I grew up in the 80s, and it just seemed like soundtracks were way more important back then, especially as far as the original music went.
Thank you.
Made for the thing. Like, it seems like today they use a bunch of the old music. And why? Because the music was better back then. I don't make the rules. That's just the way it is. So that's kind of what I was thinking about soundtracks. And there's so many of them. Honestly, I could say that because of the link between the movie and the soundtrack too, how much I liked a movie would often lead to me liking the soundtrack in a lot of ways. Even if it wasn't music that I was normally listening to, that led me to, like, I grew up listening to a lot of the orchestral scores for a lot of these movies too. And I thought a couple of these are on my list today to possibly use. So,
yeah. So, all right. So you have laid down the groundwork, and I think Andy and I probably have some thoughts on exactly the same thing because we've done this long enough. I have some of those same ideas. Andy, you have some crazy rules you're coming with today. I'm sure they go along with some of that, but maybe not all of it. So this is going to be your Rosie, Dave. So Rosie is Roosevelt. We consider him number 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to go Roosevelt. Oh, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. That's kind of that secret there. Anyways, let's go. Dave, you're up.
Yeah. So my first soundtrack was one of the first movies I ever went to in the theater. My dad took me. My parents split up when I was young, And one of the things I really remember was when my dad took me to the movies, and because I didn't get to go to many with him. And one of the first movies he ever took me to was a movie called Rocky IV. Now, Rocky IV is total 80s cheese. It's like, if you're talking about the best movie in the Rocky franchise, this movie's probably not in your top 2. But for cheesiness factor, it just was my favorite. And the music in it is outstanding. Now, there are 2 Survivor songs on this album. There's "Eye the Tiger," which was repurposed because they had already used it. But last week on your One Hit Wonder show, someone said Survivor was a one-hit wonder, and I'm yelling "Burning Heart" at the screen. I'm like, "Burning Heart, Burning Heart!"
Yeah, that was me.
So this soundtrack's amazing. It's got, not only does it got the 2 Survivor songs, it's got John Cafferty, "Hearts on Fire." You got some Gladys Knight in here. You got James Brown in "Living in America," which is a song that just became synonymous with Carl Weathers' performance as Apollo Creed in this movie.
Rest in peace, Carl Weathers.
Yes. Robert Tepper with "No Easy Way Out," which Under the Radar might be my favorite song on this album because it's so 80s cheese. There's no easy way out. It's just such a 80s song.
We need that again. We need to clip that. Yeah.
Then,
dude, I love that jam.
Yeah, you throw in the 2 Vin DiCola orchestral stuff in here with "War" and the training montage.
I was waiting for it.
Amazing. And like, listen, when I work out, when I get all diet crazy once a year, this is the soundtrack I work out to. Rocky IV.
I love it. I love this. Cody, what do you think about your cohort's pick?
So I was guessing he would be in the 80s for this particular pick, and I'm proud that he went Rocky IV. It was on my short list. It didn't make the cut, but oh yeah, it's definitely the music. When I hear those songs, I think back to the movie, and so they complement each other very well. And that was part of my criteria, is it has to have some compliments to the movie, and the movie has to complement the music. Rocky IV, excellent choice.
Dude, I love it. Andy, I've already mentioned Rocky IV last week, and yes, I did say they were a one-hit wonder because to me, although that is a great song, to me it wasn't a hit, right? We were talking top 40, and I think that one actually landed like 40-ish, if I remember. I'll have to go back and look at my notes. But yeah, this album's fantastic. Rocky IV does make my top 4 Rocky movies.
Top 4 original.
Yeah. But what I love about Rocky IV is it wasn't Rocky V, and so
yes.
that's one thing that I love. Side story, my first concert I ever went to as a kid, and I talked about this back in our concerts episode, is In Vogue, Vanilla Ice, and MC Hammer. And look, MC Hammer was on tour because of Rocky V, and he did the main song for Rocky V, and they played it like the trailer and stuff during that. Rocky IV is the best, dude. Survivor's awesome. And that montage is fantastic. And look, Tepper's underrated. He's all over the place, and every time I hear it, fantastic. Rocky IV was huge. Dolph's, Eye of the Tiger
was in every Rocky movie.
Now listen, here's the deal. Yeah, it was definitely in every. But I mentioned last week, I played third base for my high school baseball team. We were the Tigers, and as infield and outfield started, that first hit would come to third base. That was me. And right when infield started, they'd start this song. So I went through the very intro of making my first field and throw. And it felt like that music was for me every time. I fell in love with this song, fell in love with Rocky. Great pick. Love it. Andy?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Training montage, running through the snow, chopping wood, Dolph Lundgren. I mean, that's a lost art. I mean, I think the soundtrack's a lost art, but a montage is a lost art.
I will say this: I like Rocky 1 and 2. Rocky 4 to me is Rocky, because that's kind of where I started as a kid. Rocky 1 and 2 came out when I was much younger. So Rocky 4, I was probably in that range where I'm starting to kind of watch that stuff. And Dolph, like beating the Russian, I mean, bro, that was so cool. And then you go back and watch the other ones. To me, 4 probably makes my top 2, to be honest. Not that it's the best movie, just that it makes. Kenneth, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Well, that's a great way to start it, Dave. Awesome pick, Rocky 4. Way to get us started. I think didn't take us long to get Eye of the Tiger on the show. So, Cody, we're going to move to you.
By the way, this is a Benjamin of mine gone. It's not in my top 4, but it's a Benjamin of mine.
Bayou Geek just gave us his 4, The Crow, Scream 3.
Oh,
I may hear some of those things later. We will see. Those are good picks. Anyway, Cody, we're going to move to you now, man. So same question, criteria. How'd you limit it down to 4 soundtracks? And then we're going to get started with your Rosie. What you got?
So I'm not sure if I actually have limited it down to 4 yet. I literally had 30 on the list.
You're a natural at this. You're a natural.
Yes. So I had the criteria because in my head when the topic was announced, I'm like, oh, are we talking orchestra pieces? Are we talking about original music? Are we talking about allowing older songs to be played in the movie? And then I decided, we can have a mixture of all. I do appreciate a soundtrack that does have orchestral pieces on it with songs that actually have lyrics. I like lyrics. I am a lyrics guy. And so I'm probably not as concrete as some people are with like, this is for sure soundtrack, a quality movie soundtrack, or this is not, because my first pick is going to kind of break the trend, I think, of what is to be expected. And so I'll start off with my first pick. So my Rosie, which Teddy Roosevelt, we owe him a lot just because he was the president that kind of pushed for the national forest parks. And so like that site, the Rushmore, Mount Rushmore is a national forest park site. And so I figured this pick, I have to go with a movie that features the guy that we basically owe this genre to, in my opinion. And that is the Loggins of the Kinney variety. And so Val Kilmer, Top Gun is the soundtrack.
I was like, where is he going?
Yes. Val Kilmer had to be mentioned because that's my fandom. Like, if he's in it, I'm watching it. And so, no, Top Gun, the movie, phenomenal. It, again, is another one of those 80s movies where it's the United States against the Russians, because that's the thing we do. And so every, like, 10 minutes, it is either we're in the danger zone or Berlin's telling me that they're take my breath away. And I love it. Those two songs are quality hits. They slap, as the kids say. And
it's a bop nowadays.
It's a bop. And so I'm going with the special expanded edition just because it also has Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding, Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire, and You've Lost That Love and Feeling, the Righteous Brothers. But the expanded edition didn't come out till 1999. So it's not part of the original soundtrack, but all those songs are in the movie. So it should have been. So, yeah, that's my Rosie.
I love this pick. Great job. I'm not gonna lie, man. The whole time that you were giving us your criteria, it was like we were on one of those serial killer boards. We're drawing the yarn here. I didn't know what to expect. So
I will say I'm also a therapist.
Oh,
and
okay.
So I like to connect the dots.
You connected them for sure.
So that's awesome. I got Top Gun, the video game, playing behind me because it's a classic. But you're talking about fighting the Russians. I was fighting a Russian last week at Louisiana RetroCon. Check this out. Vladimir Koloff and the American against the Russian at the con. They are going to both be on our show during Nostalgia Month. Hopefully we can make it happen. But yeah, dude, it was a thing back then. The Cold War. We're fighting Russians everywhere. I mean, Red Dawn, whatever. I mean, we don't like Russians at all. And look, fun story. We really almost, instead of calling our guys Summit Squad, we almost called them the Russians. We almost called them the Russians. And we were like, I don't know how that's going to go over. Let's not. I don't know. It was fun time.
I spent roughly 35 to 40% of my time in school imagining the scenario of Russian paratroopers landing outside and where I was going to start my revolution.
Well, what you were supposed to do is just duck under your desk, right? Is that what you guys did back in the day too? That would save everything, right?
Yeah, not this guy.
Not this guy. Like an old video game.
Go sit in the hallway, kids.
I was heading for the mountains.
Yeah. Hey, we got a couple comments.
So both Andy and I are teachers, and we do all these drills. And nowadays, we're doing the drill for everything known to man, the fires, the tornadoes, and now we have to do the terrorist. I can only imagine doing a ready for a Russian invasion. That all right, kids, get down.
Mbop.
That was fun. That was last week. Last week, Mbop made it. Mbop, yeah. No, man, dude. Iowa. Hey, I know your kids are a little younger, but that's what they call it nowadays. A bop.
Put down the Russians. I know they're solid.
Silly. It sounds silly. Man, we got 10 guys in the chat. Say hello. What's your top 4 movie soundtracks? Hey, Cody, I love this pick.
Great.
I'm an 80s guy. So we didn't announce this in the beginning. Cody, how old are you?
About to be 35.
Okay, so Andy's about to be 35 as well. He's 35. And Dave, how old are you?
I am 48.
And I'm 45. So look, we've got this matched here. So yeah, we got a little cross. So I can feel we're going to all be kind of visiting 80s, 90s a lot this week. But man, I love the pick. Dave, what do you think about Cody's pick on Top Gun?
Top Gun is on my short list. I don't know if it had made my top 4 because I knew someone else would pick it. Probably that's why. I had to put in a couple that you'll find out later on that I knew no one else would pick because I like to do that. But Top Gun, great soundtrack.
I'm going to share this. I'm about to start my pick, and I'm going to jump into my Rosie and my comments. Top Gun was filling a spot on my list, and I was waiting to see if somebody would say it because I love it so much. I'm going to bump it out, and I'm going to put the other one in, and I think the other one I'm putting in is going to get taken. I'm just saying. So I have a third one that might go in.
Snap. Snap.
Oh, snap-a-roo. Oh, snap-a-roo. So here it is. I'm going to jump in. So Top Gun's out. Boom. That's we'll just say it's my number 5, my first Benjamin, because I love Top Gun. I love everything you said. But the one thing that you didn't say was the actual theme song for it. That very beginning, that echo that comes off, dude, when that played in Maverick again, I was like chills. I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. And I love that you brought in the expanded pack so that you can bring in Great Balls of Fire and You Lost That Love and Feeling, because although it was duets by the guys, it was great. So I'm not going to crush more with you. I'm going to move on, and I'm going to bring in another one, but it's not even this pick. So here's what I'm thinking. I have 4 criterias today. All right. So, I have 4 topics today. I have my criteria is this. 1, I have to love the movie. I got to love the movie, got to know the movie for it to make me in the top 4. 2, if I hear the song, I want to know the movie. I don't want to hear the song and be like, that's a good movie from the 80s. What soundtrack's that on? Not that that's a bad thing, but if it's going to be on my top 4, I'm going to immediately try and think of the movie. So that's where I'm going to go with that. Here's what I did. I decided, just like you said, Cody, there are a lot of different ways we can go. So I'm going today with 4. We're all pastors. I'm going to go with some alliteration. So I'm bringing in 4 topics, and I'm going to bring in, one's going to be, my first one is going to be, we're going to go with the cartoon. They're all C's. So they're going to be cartoon. My first one is going to be cartoon. I'm going to bring in 3 more C's coming up soon. My cartoon. Listen, I can pick any of the top Disney movies, but I'm going to pick the best one, Lion King. Lion King is got to be on the list. It's going to be the cartoon. And that's why. And listen, I had another pick, and my wife talked me out of it. And Andy, I think you know my other pick because my wife talked me out of it because she said it wasn't as iconic. But both of them are great. And she's like, that one's nowhere near it. And I'm like, you're right. This one's the one. This one is the one. So I'm going to go with Lion King first. Dude, so many bangers in this whole list. I mean, you just said it, Circle of Life. But, Elton John's in it. But Jeremy Irons as Scar singing is underrated. I'm going to be honest. Hakuna Matata, Wanna Be King. All those movies are fantastic. I'm sorry, all those songs are fantastic. And immediately when I hear it, I'm brought into Lion King. So there you go. My very first one, Lion King.
That's a great pick. That is a great pick. I'm shocked. Well, not shocked because there's so many, and I understand your criteria, but your cartoons are gone now. That's wild. That's wild that they're gone. But what do you guys think about Lion King?
So yeah, I had 2 others that I was going to pick, and you could probably you'd nail one of them for sure. But Andy, I'm positive you can figure it out because we've talked about the other one. But what do you guys think about Lion King?
Maybe on my list later, so we'll see.
Hopefully.
I'm not going to confirm or deny that the Lion King was in rotation in my constant daily listening as a high schooler and beyond. I'm just going to tell you that I loved that. I loved that soundtrack. I was way too old to admit it then, loving it, but it was so good. And
wait, you're about 3 years older than me, so yeah. I'm going to share a fun fact there, Dave. My very first date ever, 13 years old, I believe it was, maybe 14, was to the Lion King. Wow. So you were probably about 16 at that time or 17.
Yeah, so I'm 17. I'm a senior when this comes out, and this probably is my first public admission that I was listening to the Lion King as a senior in high school, and listening to music.
Hi, my name is Dave, and I listened to the Lion King as a high schooler.
Listening to
Can You Feel
listening to Can You Feel the Love Tonight with the single tear.
Can you feel the love tonight?
So good.
So good.
So good, man. Hey, look, it fits my criteria. Every song, when you hear it, it goes back to the movie. It's a banger of a movie. It's my favorite movie in that genre of movies. And it was really hard not to pick other Disney movies. And look, I'm not the Disney guy, like the Disney preacher, for or against. Mm-hmm. But those soundtracks are great. They're all great. So there we go.
Cody, you're my age, so I kind of have an idea of how you feel about Lion King. But do you approve of this message?
So I probably wore out the VHS tape of Lion King, watching it on repeat. Love the movie. The music's very iconic. As an adult, I have shifted away from Lion King to a different movie from around the same time period, maybe a couple years after, and a different British guy with some awesome drums. But one factoid about this movie, and you identified that Jeremy Irons, his song, Be Prepared, phenomenal.
I know where you're going with this.
Be prepared.
Some of it is Jim Cummings, though.
It sure is.
Jeremy Irons strained the voice, the vocal cords. And so
that is
such an iconic scene and song.
Geeky comment there, Cody. You're now in the club.
Finally. I
realize it says it's all about that Hakuna Matata, baby. What is this? Yeah. Allstott fan? Is this a Mike Allstott, a Tampa Bay guy here? Can't lose with Elton John.
Fan, nice. 97. Welcome, Allstott fan. Hold on.
I hate the Bucks
because I've never seen you around. Say hello to a new.
Welcome to the
welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Mellow Dope's in here. What's going on, Mellow Dope?
Mellow Dope, you're here, man. Mellow Dope posted last week. He's like, man, I'm so glad I found this show. Hi, Alan won the contest last time. And, man, I hope you got your pop and everything. Man, thanks for being here. Hey, so Cannon. Oh, geez, Cannon.
Whoa. I'll go by many different names.
No, well, it wasn't Cody. I was going to say Andy, and I said Cody, and then Cannon, and I mixed Cody with Andy, and I got my son's name, which is Cannon, which is weird. Andy, you're up, man.
Yeah, all right. So I mentioned before that that ruffle and some feathers. I think that what happened here is I didn't want to do this. I just want you all to know this. I didn't mean for my list to become this. I had no intention for it to do this. In fact, I tried to not make it this. I was intentionally saying it's not going to be all Disney movies, but I can't deny my heart.
Oh, God.
I can't do it. And I tried up until we started filming. I'm like, what else can I put in here? But here's why. Because like you said, Dave, I chose all 4 of mine are all original songs, not a compilation of songs that were put together in this movie. Now, there's fantastic soundtracks that follow that. And I'm going to mention those in my Benjamins because like I always do my Benjamins, I throw criteria out the window and I just pick some 4 other really good ones that haven't been talked about. But for my top 4, they had to be, this helps me limit it. They all are original to the movie. Now they may have been like released after it. There may be like a radio version of it that came out after, but the song itself, the soundtrack itself consists of all original music. So with that said, and again, I didn't want it to be all Disney. I tried so hard, but they're just, they know what they're doing when they do soundtrack.
Hey, can I just share this before you're going to jump out? And you said I was going to be upset. I'm not upset about that. But what I will, you know who will be upset? Roy at Retro Rewind Podcast. If you're watching this, I am so sorry, Francisco, for him being kicked out of Culture Box. And I hope you will still keep me in. But let's get to it.
I don't like RPGs, and I'm picking all Disney. I'm not in a good place right now. You know, for when it comes to that, I'm just not, and I'm sorry, and I love you. I love you. Culture Box. Yeah. I have to be true to myself. Okay. Anyway, so let's here we go. Look at that. I've got some friends here. Real life. It says own it. I'm owning it. Like I'm unapologetic. I just wanted to forewarn everyone that this is what's up. And then Iowa said, I told you Sister Act is coming. No, it's not. But with my Rosie, perhaps one of the single-handedly most underrated and underappreciated Disney flicks of all time. If you go back a long time ago, we were actually trying to do TikToks. We were trying to do bops, as the kids say. No, I'm never going to do that. And I ran through these songs because they're so good. They're so good. And my Rosie is going to be from a little known movie called A Goofy Movie, because we're doing it. If we listen to each other's eyes. Dude, that album is so good, man. We've got Caroline, you got Eye to Eye, you got After Today. I don't even know I can not even sing all the words. But my point is, this soundtrack is so good. Stand out above the crowd. I mean, so good. And then even like the cheesy, goofy songs like Out on the Open Road. I love that song. It's so good. This album is so dang good. It's so good. The movie is great. I didn't mention the criteria. I had to love the movie too. Otherwise, I'm not just pulling up a soundtrack because I hate the movie. Gotta love the movie. It's the Leaning Tower of Chisa. Yeah, so I know we're not doing like quotes from movies and stuff, but this is a fantastic movie. The perfect cast. But yeah, Eye to Eye might be one of the greatest pop hits of our generation. I know that I'm going to have people love this, but nobody talks about it. It's like there's such a I don't even know if I want to call it a cult following of this. I don't know if that's the correct term that I want to use, but this is a fantastic soundtrack, fantastic movie, and it's my Rosie. It's my number 4. What you guys think?
What?
Oh, I'm going to jump in on this one.
Go ahead.
I want to hear from the guys first. Are we Goofy movie fans?
Love a Goofy movie. We did Be Kind Rewind on a Goofy movie because it is that great. I made Dave watch it. I had one of my best friends that I grew up with who's a huge Goofy movie fan, had him on the pod, so that way it was just nonstop. But yeah, no, there were people dressed up as Powerline at Planet Comic-Con this weekend.
Yeah,
I saw
it has a following. And so that song's phenomenal. And I'm glad that you had the courage to stand up and do what's right and advocate for that song. Again, it was on a short list of mine. And when I say short list, I mean it was in the top 40. I just don't know if it would have got in or not. So I'm glad that you stood up for it.
Yeah.
I'm wow. Dave, we're older. Is this a thing?
No, this is not. They made me watch this movie, right? Look, the only positive for me in watching this movie and doing the episode on it, because like I'm just way too old for a Goofy movie, was we're getting
never too old.
We got some precious Tevin Campbell appreciation out of it, because Tevin Campbell as Powerline, when I found that out, I was totally fine with it, because I love Tevin Campbell. Round and Round, still one of my favorite songs, and I listen to it regularly.
Yeah. So I was a outsider when it came to the Goofy movie until actually meeting Andy, and he has talked about the Goofy so much. I've watched it several times with the fam, with the kids. It's a fun little thing, man. And I tell you, it does have a great soundtrack. And one of the not the criteria, but one of the things when I was trying to wrestle my brain of remembering all these old things is I kept trying to think of movies that actually had bands in them. Because if there's a movie that had a band in them, there's probably some like music for the movie, right? So of some sort. So I'm trying to think of all those movies, and this one came up, and I was like, yeah, that's one of them.
You just gave me an idea for a future Rushmore, the Rushmore of fake bands.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So great pick. So we're done with our first one, man. That we're here. So Cody, we don't need any criteria now. We just jump on in. It is time to move. We like to call him TJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Dave, right?
You're up, man.
Isn't Dave?
Dave. Sorry, Dave.
Oh Dave. Yeah, I was skipping Dave.
Okay,
skip Dave.
Yeah, my TJ Jazzy Jeff. Which now I wish I would have picked a movie with Will Smith, just for that chance. But no, because none of them are good enough. But my second pick here is going to be a documentary. It actually won the Oscar for Best Documentary in 1996. It's gone through some licensing issues. So here's the bummer part. You cannot find this soundtrack on Spotify. You can't find it anywhere. I only have it because I still have on my iTunes, my original CD collection back when iPods first come out. This documentary is about the Rumble in the Jungle between Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, which was a fight back, whenever, put on by Don King. He had this lead up to the fight in Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He had this lead up to it where what he called the African Woodstock. And this documentary and this album, the soundtrack that went along with it, had live, never before heard recordings of things like Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers, The Payback by James Brown, Gonna Have a Funky Good Time by James Brown, B.B. King, Sweet 16, The Spinners with I'm Coming Home, along with a couple, there were several of these performances by I mean, incredible performances, along with some new songs made especially for it by Brian McKnight, When We Were Kings, the title track, and the Fugees, who were big in 1996 when this movie came out. They did a song called Rumble in the Jungle. I was a big Fugees fan. So this soundtrack for When We Were Kings is absolutely amazing. It won the Academy Award that year for documentary. It was an iconic moment at the Academy Awards. That's when Foreman kind of helped Muhammad Ali up the stairs to accept the award. Just great soundtrack. One of my favorites, When We Were Kings.
Man, right. Andy. Well, Cody, go. Cody, you're up.
I don't even know how to follow that, because that is so serious and heavy, where I'm looking at my movies and I'm like, nope, don't have any of that junk in it. No, those are phenomenal artists. And having watched that documentary, because Dave has said, oh, you got to watch this. And so I watched it and I'm like, okay, that's legit. I just wasn't expecting a documentary. So you're way out in left field, but as far as documentary music goes, that's not about a band. Nailed it.
Yeah. I don't know much about this one, but got a couple people in here. Look at this one. Said who? He said, "Yep, you're old." JK, buddy.
Hey, we got some new people in the house.
Here I come. There you go.
Big movie fan, 18 plus. Nicole Ruiz.
What's up, Nicole?
What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Summit Squad. Man, I'm going to say, Dave, we like to say this is a deep cut, but this is a blind spot for me, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm not a documentary guy. I'm not it. That's not me. My wife is, though. She probably knows this documentary very well. But I do love sports documentaries, and I don't know that I've actually seen this one. But what you're explaining to me, it's kind of a blind spot. I need to hear it, but unfortunately, I guess it sounds like I can't. So, but I know what you say. I got somewhere over here an archaic iPod brick, right? And it's filled with MP3s. But yeah, that's a cool pick, man.
Good news. I just double checked. You can watch When We Were Kings, the documentary, on Paramount Plus right now. For a long time, you couldn't watch it anywhere, but I highly recommend it. It's widely regarded as one of the best documentaries. And if you watch the documentary, you'll get a lot of the music on the soundtrack.
Nice. Let's see. We got some advice. You just got to find the right documentaries, bro.
Yeah. Well, so here's the deal. I like sports docs. We've done a show on docs, so you can hear everything that I want to say about that back then. I watch a lot of docs with my wife. That's probably her favorite thing to watch. And so what you're talking is in my lane right there. I love the toy documentaries. I love the cartoon documentaries and sports. My wife don't like any of those. So
Nickelodeon, the orange years makes me cry every time I watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Man, we got 15 folks in here. Big movie fan, 18 plus. Yeah, share them with the community, man. Just know that we are a family channel here. So not that you can't be here. Just know that that's what we're doing. Bad news. We lost again today. Sorry, man. Sorry. So here, look, let's jump in, and we are going to do – what's that?
Now it's Cody's turn.
Now we're going to go to Cody. Cody, you're up.
Oh, sweet. So I got to set it up. It was the dark ages, 94, 95.
Ooh, rough time.
Everything was dark and abysmal. But then one of my friends, a hero of mine, actually, his name was Mike.
Oh,
and Mike had to save the world, really, and come back and play basketball. And I'm choosing for my movie 1996's Space Jam.
Yes!
I believe I can fly.
Yeah, that honestly, this movie.
But that's not even the best song. Go ahead and preach to him. Preach it.
It spawned like so many people just randomly singing that song. I Believe I Can Fly. Like anytime you touched a basketball, someone started busting out in that song. Seal's cover, Fly Like an Eagle.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, that little bass line, dude, I can go for it. I'm there for it.
We're still not to the song. We're still not to the song that I'm waiting to hear, though.
Yeah.
High with Be Real, Busta Rhymes, Coolio, LL Cool J, and Method Man. Oh man, it's still on my playlist. And so now I'm intrigued what song you're after, because besides Space Jam.
Well, for you, I will.
That's the one.
For you, I will. The title song.
Yes.
The That's the Way I Like It by Biz Markie.
Oh yes. So Biz Markie and the Spinners, or not the Spinners, but the Spin Doctors. That's the way. That is Little Miss Can't Be Wrong. 2-hit wonders. They didn't make it last week because they're 2-hit wonders. But anyways. Yes. So the one thing Warner Brothers does well in the 90s, because someone in the chat said, is he a Batman Forever fan? You betcha. Is that Warner Brothers makes phenomenal soundtracks, probably better than the movies. So this soundtrack, I had it on CD. I wore out the CD as a kid. So yeah, that is my third pick.
I love this. It's on my list. You took a Benny. It's gone, but it had to be there. It had to be there. So it's fantastic. I love this pick.
It's a great pick. It's so.
I love what's happening in the chat, guys. I love this, but look, I gotta address this one, Andy. I gotta address this one. Now, Andy, I know you're not picking it because you're going all cartoons, and I'm telling you, it's on my Benjamins, and for this reason only. My guys down low might do it, but vintage. This is a great one. If I was going bands, this probably has the best group of bands in history on a soundtrack. Problem is, I don't like every one of the songs they did on that, honestly. So, but it is a fantastic lineup. Oh my gosh, it's insane. But I do love
Salt and Pepper is on it with Upside Down. Yeah, Upside Down with Salt and Pepper.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a great one. I love it. Iowa Retro Gamer, Kiss from a Rose. I had that single. I am here to tell you, I used to have the big loud system in my truck, and I would jam that single with the booming speakers, and it's a bop. It's a bop. Yeah, I love it. Kiss from a Rose. That's awesome. All right.
How are we going to name all these songs on that soundtrack, and not one of you going to bring up Chris Rock and Barry White singing Basketball Jones? Like, come on. It's
Jones. Basketball Jones. That's great. That is great cinema. I love it, dude. It's fun. Fun.
Barkley.
Look here. I'll name it all. So, Fly Like an Eagle, The Winner with Coolio, Space Jam with the Quad City DJs. Anything Quad City did, or any of those guys, I'm in for it. I Believe I Can Fly, Hit 'em High with LL Cool J. I Found My Smile Again, For You I Will with Monica. I used to jam that and send that on the little mixtape to the ladies. For You I Will, you know what I'm saying? Upside Down, Round and Round, Give You All I Got by Robin. Basketball Jones, Chris Rock, I Turn to You, All for One. What? Jay-Z was even on this with R. Kelly. All of My Days, That's the Way I Like It with Biz Markie and the Spin Doctors, and Buggin'. That's Bugs Bunny. That's a great album, man. I had it there. It's worthy. It's there. It is there. Hey, look, Aaron Brown, that's the STEM teacher at my school. We were working on his list today. I'm glad you're here for it. Yeah, and he knows my list already. Just to tell you, Aaron, if you just got here, I changed my number 4 to Lion King. I did it. Brittany talked me into it. But I am positive it's going to get crushed.
All right, real life.
Probably.
Thanks for joining in, man. Look, he said crazy hard.
Hey, man, we will see you around soon. Let's get those 90s country going. He's going to be on in a couple weeks. You guys like country? Come and jam it. So here's the deal. I'm up. So first one was cartoons. Now I'm going composer. I'm bringing out the composium. Listen, you've got John Williams, you got Danny Elfman, you got Hans, you've got so many amazing. Just those three takes half of my my mental capacity of movies when I was a kid. I mean, it's just insane what they all did. And I'm going to come with what I would say is the most iconic to me, and that's obviously Aaron's got it in his down there at the bottom, Star Wars A New Hope. I'm going with a title scroll with the Imperial March. I'm going with that. I was really tending and trying to maybe do Star Wars #1 because of Duel of Fates, because I love that jam. But when I think about my love for Star Wars and being a fan in a fandom, you cannot I mean, I could probably bring this song to the place where Dave, you were talking down in the Rumble in the Jungle, and I could probably play the Imperial March or the title screen for Star Wars, and they'd all be like, Star Wars! And it's like you go anywhere in the world, they know it. To me, it preaches my childhood. Now, this is where I got hung up with it. These here, they're absolutely original. I had to honor John Williams and everything he's done. I mean, everything he's done. It's just insane. If you haven't actually gone and seen how much he really did do, along with Danny Elfman and Hans Zimmer and all those guys, if you have not gone to look, take a little spin down the vortex today and go check all that out. But I had to share it, even though this is not something that I would like jam in my car. Like, I would if I'm in a crazy mood, but this isn't like on the regular playlist. But it is something when I think of nostalgia and I think of what I love, I've got to honor some of them. And so this is all the composers at one time. Boom. The best one to me, Star Wars A New Hope.
I don't think you can get any more iconic than, I mean, there's so many great scores. You said it, right? There's so many good ones that I won't mention now because maybe they'll get mentioned later. Who knows? But if they don't, maybe Benjamin's. Either way, you can go. We could have done just a Rushmore of film scores, right? I know, which kind of narrows it down to.
And you might only get him,
John Williams. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, so this. Yeah, I don't think we can add much more to this. This is
So, Aaron, I don't like musicals, but those two are in there. Those two are in there. Yeah, there it is. I am not a musical fan, right? Unless it's a cartoon and it has a castle with Tinkerbell flying around it in the beginning. I really am not into musicals, but. You could have just did a Russ. Absolutely. And you know what? That might be a future thing to talk about, a Rushmore of just John Williams. I'm here for it. I am here for it. Hey man, welcome. Big movie fan 18. Look, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining the community, being a part of the Summit Squad. If you like this kind of content, we have a ton of stuff. Go check out the playlists. Man, what do you got? Are you guys Star Wars fans?
Oh, love Star Wars.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, there's certain fandoms that some people are in, some people aren't. Star Wars is one of those that is, some people are Star Wars, Star Trek. Some of them are just not sci-fi. They're more fantasy. Some are both. I mean, just curious. So, yeah, I'm a Star Wars guy. Andy's a Star Wars guy. Love it. Love it. Love it. So, and I have to go with this one, #1. I'll stop.
John Williams is, honestly, I might be just a John Williams score guy just because he has so many that are iconic. And if it doesn't get mentioned, I have one for the Benjamin. So
there it is. There it is.
As far as pure talent goes, the soundtrack composing that John Williams does, like you guys already mentioned this, we literally could have mentioned 50 movie scores that John Williams has done. that would be like he's just
so
brilliant.
I brought it up to my wife pre-record, hey, what's your top 4? What's this? Because I always kind of do that, bounce them off. And then I said Star Wars. She's like, for real? I mean, you're going there? And I'm like, babe, you don't even understand how much of an impact this guy has. And I pulled up the Spotify of just John Williams, and it's like forever long. And I'm like, listen to this. What movie is it? Listen to this. What movie is this? She couldn't name all the movies, but she's like, oh, I know that sound. I know that sound. I know that sound. And there's some that are even fun that aren't like real big and epic. And I'm like, yep, he did those too. It's pretty crazy. All right, man. Andy, you're up. Finish off the first half of the mountain.
All right, man. Well,
do it.
A little surprised that we're here, but Kirk, I got a Rushmore with you. Yeah. King. It's good. It's so good. It's everything you said about it earlier, plus a million things more. It's just when it comes to Disney movies, and again, all 4 of mine are going to wind up being Disney movies, but this you don't get too much better than this. Hakuna Matata is fantastic. Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Fantastic. Circle of Life. Just Can't Wait to Be King. That whole like or not that part. I'm doing the wrong one. I did the wrong one. But you get my point. Like the whole just the whimsicalness of it. That's a word that we're making up. But yeah, Be Prepared is so good too. In fact, funny story, and because I'm not going to add too much about this one because we talked about it a lot, right? But Invoke the Nightmare. That's Dennis and my old metal band. We were pretty close to putting out a metal version of Be Prepared, which was going to be a ton of fun. Never wound up happening, but yeah. So there it is. I gotta put Lion King on there. And I will say this, and I know we're not talking about this, but just so I can add a little bit more words about what I'm saying. Fantastic remake. I know some people don't like it. Some people are whatever. But I liked the opening was essentially shot for shot the same thing as the opening of the classic cartoon. Obviously, it's not going to replace that, but it was a good one, man. It was a good one. Plus, you get Seth Rogen as Pumbaa, which
I know that's polarizing, but I will say out of the ones I've seen, and I haven't seen all of them. Like I haven't seen Little Mermaid yet, and I haven't seen maybe a Pinocchio, I think, or a couple of the other ones. But almost every one that I have seen, I at least enjoy. I mean, I wouldn't say they're better, but I enjoy it. And even Will Smith is allowed.
We have a reboots episode before reboot was even a thing. That's
right. Right. So I mean, I don't hate them, but they're good.
Soundtrack wise, it's so good. It's classic. Rad Bash is in the house. What's up, dude?
Dude, welcome, Rad Bash. Hey, can I just shout out something real quick while we're here? Rad Bash, you gave me a fantastic idea the other day. This super retro family you've got built over there, Iowa Retro Gamer, Rad Bash, Matt Belmont, and a bunch of those guys. Guys, if you like video game content, go follow Rad Bash. He's been on the show with Iowa Retro Gamer Dad down there. Matt Belmont was on our show as well, and hopefully we get all the other guys on the show eventually too. But you gave me a great idea, and I think we're going to go after a Christian creator coalition. And we're going to try and nail out some friends and that want to be a kind of a part and share, just like what Culture Box is doing. It's over there. We're backwards over there. And but man, thanks for that idea. And I love what you guys are doing. Been following you guys now since the beginning. Thank you for being here. Put your top 4.
17 people.
Let's go. Welcome to the show. Now, that's not the record yet. Let's try and break that record. Hey, while you're in there, 17 people, go hit the like button. Go do that.
Or subscribe if you haven't done that. I think
yeah. If you're not subscribed, sure. Hey, all right. So guys, do you have anything to add to Lion King? Because I have a feeling. Yeah, we've already talked about it.
Lion King quality. I haven't watched any of the remakes, the live action ones, because
none of them.
It is too nostalgic.
I understand. Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't. So
I'll tell you that's a Rushmore thing that we thought about doing, because we've done some reboots, which is funny. We have done reboots, which is where we got the title Reboot. But as far as those, we could do a whole thing on just those. My George would be The Jungle Book. I love that one. And I love that cartoon.
The best one, and I don't even think it counts, but because it's like a prequel, I guess, more so than anything. But they kind of made it up. But dude, if you haven't watched Cruella, oh my gosh, do yourself a favor. It's so good.
It kind of took the Maleficent
a little bit darker, right? Like as far as like, I mean, it's not like I can watch it and feel fine, but it's like it's not kiddie, I guess is what I would say. Anyway, we're halfway through the mountain. Man.
Look, we're halfway through the mountain, Andy, and this is the time where we actually celebrate some of our friends. And we've already started celebrating some of the friends that are in the comments. Guys, I see 15 people here. Everybody right now, go and subscribe, go follow, and then after you do that, come back to the show and watch their stuff later. Iowa Retro Gamer Dad, Rad Bash Gaming, and everybody else that I've seen this comment. You've had real life perspective come in here. Go follow those guys, the friends that I know, and then obviously Pop Culture Pastor. You can check them out. Their YouTube is all audio, and you can find them on all the major big dogs, Spotify and Apple and all that stuff. Go follow them right now. But we want to highlight some friends over at the Culture Box. And the Culture Box is just a group of Christian creators, which is something that we grow. And I mean, we love these guys so much. They are such inspirations for us. There's about 7 or 8 different creators there. And we were the last ones invited to the show. And so we're there, we're hanging out, but there's video games there. There's Dungeons and Dragons there. There's reading things there. There's movie podcasts there. There's anime there. So it's got a little bit of everything. You can find them at look, it's going to scroll right down here in a second. It's going to be at culturebox.media. While you're there, check out the Discord. In the Discord, guys, we're trying to get that thing bumping. If you ever have any prayer requests or things that you want to hear from us, go to the Discord. That Discord is there. It is culturebox.media. Go check that out. But go follow all those guys as well. Retro Rerun Podcasts, Francisco and Paul. They've been on the show several times. Cellcast, all those guys. Andy, I think it's time that we actually highlight one of those friends. Who do you have for us today?
Well, we haven't. I feel like as I scroll through our promo clips, we haven't talked about these guys in a little bit. But I'd love to highlight our friends over at Stunning and Brave. Stunning Brave each week hosts Chris Cowan of the Babylon Bee and Nate Henderson of Some Boring Budgeting Job confess their privilege, spotlight stunning social media posts, and fabricate outrage, all while keeping you super woke and enlightened. They will make you laugh. That's right. You have no choice. Check out Stunning and Brave at stunningandbrave.net. Go give them a shout. Let them know the Rushmore show sent you, and just, appreciate part of this Culture Box family that we're a part of.
Man, we are so welcomed and so loved, and I wish we could do even more. And they have Patreons. You can follow them if you want to support the mission. Geek Devotions is trying to get his 501c, which is kind of the track that we feel we're going to drive to try and do our own ministry out here at the cons with Reboot. But go follow those guys, support their podcast. You can find them everywhere, but culturebox.media will be where you find them. Hey, look, I just want to share what we're doing real quick, and then we'll jump in the second half. If you're new around here, we are both youth pastors at heart. I am currently a teacher. Andy is an old teacher, and we are deciding to do what we are calling the Reboot. Reboot is a play on words of meeting Jesus Christ in a real and relevant way through pop culture and fun things. And this is just an avenue for us to say, hello, we are friends, and we love what you love. And if that's something that you enjoy, be ready that down in our playlist, you're going to start to see where we're going to do some Christian content. We have been saying in the past, we're not a Christian podcast, but we're not a Christian podcast. Well, I think we're going to switch that a little bit, and we are going to say that we are not a Christian podcast, but we are a Christian channel. And with that being said, down in the comments and things, if you need prayer requests, pop that thing down there. Don't be scared. We're here to love and just be with everybody. I am rocking the Louisiana RetroCon shirt. I am not a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, but I did get to interview these guys. And our first message on the RetroCon was a message of Five Nights at Freddy's and having the light in the darkness. So if you're going to go follow that, that would be fantastic. And if you're going to be at St. Tammany Collectors Con, I got a little something for you.
Prepare to make the jump to light speed.
But sir! They're getting closer.
Oh yeah? Watch this.
So at St. Tammany Collectors Con is going to be our second opportunity to preach at a geek, nerd, weeb, dork, gamer event. And this time, Andy is bringing it. We are going to have, hopefully, we're praying, we have an opportunity to interview Sergeant Slaughter, 2 Ninja Turtle artists, Ming from the Comic Book Men. There are several guys that are going to be there, and we are the MCs. We get to do the interviews. We're going to be giving away a whole bunch of pops and toys. If you're online while we're live and you're here, we're going to give stuff away by just typing in the comments. You can start doing it today if you'd like. Just start typing in the comments, reboot, and here it is. So I can help you guys out. And at STCC, it's April 20th. We will pull all kinds of people. We'll have some gifts, some prizes. Type #reboot in the comments right now, and you can get in for that. But yeah, let's jump into the second half of our mountain. Let's finish this thing off with a bang. And Dave, you're up with, we're going to call him Link. And I don't know, is there a Zelda movie that you want to pick? Because that's usually where we bring this.
No. Also, yes, you can win. You can win.
Oh,
so
okay.
Go ahead. #reboot it all you want.
Yeah, you guys can definitely win.
So one of my favorite movies and soundtracks in my early life was a movie called The Blues Brothers. Now, don't jump the gun here, because I am not going to pick The Blues Brothers, but I need to set this up. The Blues Brothers is amazing. Dan Aykroyd and Belushi doing their thing based on a Saturday Night Live skit, but they brought in like real blues musicians from the time, and just a wonderful like supporting cast. And the soundtrack is definitely one of my favorites, but it's not going to be on. I realized this week actually that it's not going to be on my Mount Rushmore, because the sequel, Blues Brothers 2000, which I'm going to challenge Kirk's rule about you got to love the movie. The movie is complete trash.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is fantastic. It is so stinking good. You've got Matt Guitar Murphy. You've got, if you're a Blues Traveler fan, there's like an original Blues Traveler song on here that like a lot of people don't know about because it was on this kind of album, which was a little bit disrespected in my opinion. It's got Aretha Franklin redoing Respect. It's got 6, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. John the Revelator is on here by Taj Mahal. Season of the Witch by Dr. John, like who is New Orleans Blues. This album, I jammed it to it today. I listened to the whole thing today. Joe Morton, who is like part of the cast, who's been in just tons of different movies. He was in Terminator 1, Terminator 2. He's been in Will Smith's Ali. He's a wonderful character actor, but dude has pipes. And so all the Blues Brothers stuff that is in the movie is just elevated by the inclusion of Joe Morton. John Goodman can also sing, and he's one of the Blues Brothers in this film, along with Dan Aykroyd. Blues Brothers 2000 is my link. I guarantee you, if you're thinking to yourself right now, no way, Dave, there's no way this is better than the original Blues Brothers soundtrack. Give it a listen. It's on Spotify. Blues Brothers 2000. It's my pick. It's incredible.
That is
a pick.
That's a banger. I love this deep cut. These keep you. This is why we love having other people on our show, Andy, because they always pull these things out. I was thinking Blues Brothers all day. How can I get it on the map? Just because of you said it, New Orleans, blues, the whole 9 yards. Great movie. Belushi, Aykroyd, can't go wrong. And 2000 was off my map because it was not a great movie, and and I didn't even think about it. And looking at this, I mean, that's blues all day. I mean, if you love blues, this is a banger album. And I will say this, just another thing. If we ever do the Rushmore of 2-hit wonders, right? Spin Doctors has already been named once today. Blues Traveler is also on that mountain. And I'm just going to throw that out there. But yeah, I love Blues Traveler. Cody, what you know about Blues Traveler? Blues Brothers 2000.
The movie's awful. Awful movie. The soundtrack. So I never listened to the soundtrack, so it's out of my wheelhouse. When he started off with the Blues Brothers, I'm like, okay, this is iconic, and I am all in. But then he switched it, and I'm like, you lost me. I'm out. So, yeah, I mean, you did list some good reasons why it might be good. I just would have to listen to it. So
you definitely got to check it out. That's
Just
what we're taking. Helpful tips.
I think Aaron is talking about the soundtrack. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm missing it. But
maybe don't check out the movie.
Don't check out the movie.
Just skip that one.
Yeah, the movie's bad.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this is a great. I mean, I for a soundtrack, yes, 46% on Rotten Tomatoes. So take it or leave it. 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb. So again, I mean, just use those metrics to kind of come to a conclusion on pretty much how this movie is going to be. I will say this though, I am a big fan of not great movies. Like,
yeah, me too.
We got invited to be on a podcast of a friend of ours,
which is Geek Devotions.
Well,
Bottom Shelf.
Geek Devotion is bottom shelf, but we were on the Cellcast.
Oh,
we got to talk about Warriors of Virtue, and that's not going to be mentioned today because the soundtrack was non-existent. But I say that because we love not great movies. But
we grew up on Up All Night. I mean, there was bad movies that you watched on, Nick at Night and USA and all that. It was terrible.
There's like, and it's hard to define. There's movies that are so bad they're good, and Blues Brothers is so bad it's bad. Like there's no redeeming. I guess John Goodman being it is the redeeming factor because John Goodman's awesome. But
have you seen him recently?
Yeah,
I saw a picture of him and I didn't even know it was him. Like I didn't even know it's him. And look, let's stop talking about him. We have bad omens around the Rushmore show. I would really hate that. But last time I saw him was when he was the king at Bacchus for the parade. And he was hammered, and I thought he was going to fall off the float. But he's a big New Orleans guy. The House of Blues in New Orleans, he was like majority owner for a while, I think. Maybe I'm misquoting that, but I remember him having a big deal down there with all that. But hey, let's jump in. Cody, you're up, man.
Okay, so for my link, I'm going with a movie that has a much better Rotten Tomatoes score. It's 82%, 7.6 on IMDb. It is my comic book movie soundtrack. When I was in college, my senior year, the college I went to, they had a movie night to kick things off. And so they would rent out the movie theater and you could go watch one movie that night. And I watched this with a group of friends and fell in love with the movie, but also fell in love with the soundtrack. And it combines original music and some more classical music, classic rock. And that movie is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Nice.
Where are you at, Aaron Brown? Yes.
And so Scott Pilgrim versus the World, part of the reason I love this, not just because it's like punk rock bands and you get some Rolling Stones, you get some T-Rex in there, but all the songs that are performed by Scott Pilgrim's band were written and originally recorded for the soundtrack by Beck. And I'm a Beck guy. And so if you have a chance, like download this whole soundtrack and you'll be like, oh my goodness, these songs are so weird and random, but it fits in with the movie and it fits in with the era I kind of grew up in. So no, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah.
Awesome soundtrack.
That's good. Yeah, a ton of Beck on there. So yeah, that's our Beck credits there. Yeah, so good pick. Gotta love the punk rock. Also gotta love Michael Cera, right?
Yes, Michael Cera.
Get him in that. Who's Jesse Eisenberg?
Yes,
those two guys combined. Confused, but yeah, Michael Cera, super funny. Rev Rats is in the house. What's up, Rev Rats Rides? What's going on, man?
What's up, Rev? Watched Rev the other day. Rev's down in Florida. He was potentially going to come on music. We weren't sure. He kind of thought he might be better somewhere else. We'll figure it out, Rev. We want to have you on the show. Man, so Scott Pilgrim, I'll say this. I love the movie. Absolutely love the movie. I love this style of movie. Like, it's kind of comic book meets kind of weird animation mixed with live. I mean, there are several movies that I kind of throw into that kind of category, and I always love them. I love them tremendously. The STEM teacher, Aaron, which if he's still in there, he's still in there. I see he wrote Beck. He mentioned Scott Pilgrim yesterday. And I was like, man, I can't necessarily remember the soundtrack. And I went and listened to it, and it's good. It's just not my style of music, right? It's good. But like it wasn't what I'm saying. We usually talk about nostalgia and iconic. To me, it just didn't hit that nostalgic bell. Like, I was like, oh, this is good. Yeah. But when I look at all of it, it's on my list just because I can appreciate the movie and the soundtrack being good. And I was like, oh yeah, but it just wasn't that nostalgic thing. So it's way down. Again, I have a lot of things, and it's way down there just so I could post it in the comments later. But it's awesome. Oh, and the game is really fun. We kind of mentioned it in platformers a little bit with Blurtish a couple weeks back. The Scott Pilgrim versus the World is a really fun game. Great beat 'em up. Yep.
Oh yeah.
And so, Dave, you like Scott Pilgrim?
Love the movie. I'm like you, Kirk. The music's kind of not in my wheelhouse. Although I will say all of the original music that his band, like Sarah's band, Scott Pilgrim's band plays, all that was hilarious and great. But yeah, it's not something I revisited and like listened to the soundtrack a lot. But I love the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Aaron. Yes.
Okay,
it doesn't hit my criteria, but yes.
Andy, tell him the story because I was telling him today.
Right,
yesterday.
It was on my Rushmore of documentaries. Partly because if you don't know Dogtown Z Boys, it was this whole story of like skating in Southern California, skateboarding, kind of how it like took off, and it was just this big cultural movement deal. And it follows a bunch of like Stacy Peralta and all that early group. Anyway, so I watched it. My dad grew up during that era in that area too. So he skated with guys like, Stacy Peralta was, I think, a little bit older than him, but like he was kind of like in that middle ground. But he skated with Tony Hawk as a kid, and Tony Hawk was like a little punk kid, whatever. And but being able to watch that documentary with my dad and like watch him relive, like literally, he can almost find himself in shots in that documentary. So it's super cool. Love that one. Obviously, the soundtrack's fantastic. If I love Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I've already talked about that for video game music. Like this, I just love all of that. But didn't fit my criteria today. But fantastic pick. Fantastic pick.
Yes, Black Sheep, because Iowa Retro Gamer Dad keeps mentioning it. Phenomenal. Love that song. And the song Ramona that Scott plays, that's like 10 seconds long, and him just repeating it. That's what Beck originally wrote, and then he found out it was going to be in the movie and also on the soundtrack. Decided, I'll write a full-length version, and it took him 10 minutes, and then he recorded it all by himself. So, no, Beck's phenomenal. This soundtrack's great, and the lines in some of the songs are so ridiculous. Chef's kiss.
Yep. Oh, he said garbage truck is great too. Yeah. Rev Rats
Now
came
wait,
in here.
I just saw something, and I think I totally missed this, Andy. I'm gonna scroll back up a little bit before we get moving. Oh, okay. Now I just realized this. So wait, timeout. All stop. Who are you? Who are you, Allstott? I see you posted. Is he? So is he a friend of yours?
Yeah. I know.
Okay, so I'm trying to find somebody real quick. I just got a post in something else, and I'm like, maybe it's Allstott. I don't see it, man. So we've got a guy. He's going to be on the show. Hey, if Alex, if you're out there, if you're still out there, I saw you posted a comment somewhere else. If you're out there, try and post a comment again. Alex was my captain, which he's now retired and out, but he was my captain when I was in Iraq. And we get together and chat all the time. I was in the Air Force. He was in the Army. It was a fun little get. But Alex is going to be on the show soon. So, Alex, if you're still here, say hello in the comments. I see your comment on my phone, but I don't see it here. Sorry if I didn't message you. Man, I'm glad you're here. So, Alex, welcome to the show. Hey, so it's my turn.
Yes.
And this is not a shocker at all. Andy, you've probably been waiting for me to say this. You've probably been waiting. How far am I going to let this thing go up the mountain? You know where I'm going. You know exactly where I'm going. My boy Rev Rats, Bayou Geek has been mentioning it. Listen,
but what's the
Crow soundtrack is absolutely on my Rushmore. It's on my Rushmore of, if I go to my favorite movies of all time, at one time, I don't think now, but on one time, this movie was on my mountain. I watched the trailer for the new one today at school, ran back and was like, Aaron, did you see the new trailer? It looks cool, but I love The Crow. But here's the cool thing about The Crow. This one, oh, by the way, this one, my C is for cult.
Oh, okay.
So these are cult movies.
I was waiting for you to see
cult type movies. Scott Pilgrim, I think, could kind of fit in that. These are ones that people just follow, and like not everybody's on the jam, or some are on. Listen, this was the very first CD I ever purchased in my life. I was a tape guy up until The Crow. I went and saw The Crow, and I left out of the movie theater, and I went across the street because the movie theater was at the mall, and I went across the street from that into the mall and went down to I'm trying to figure out at that time if it was Camelot Music or if it was FYE or whatever it was. I went down there and I purchased this album or this CD, and I got, which is funny, I mentioned MC Hammer earlier. I was a huge MC Hammer back in the day. I bought his new one, which I thought was going to go, and it went nowhere after he came back from being a pastor, which is funny. So yeah, the Crow soundtrack, let me name these off. Dude, when I hear it, when I hear Stone Temple Pilots on any song now, I immediately think of The Crow. But Big Empty, Stone Temple Pilots, Golgotha, Tenement Blues from the Machines of Loving Grace, Burn, The Cure, Dead Souls, 9 Inch Nails, Darkness, Rage Against the Machine, Color Me Once, Violent Femmes, Ghost Rider Rollins Band, Milquetoast, Helmet, The Badge, Pantera, there's your guys, Andy, Slip, Slide, Melting, for Love, Not Lisa, After the Flesh, My Life, with the Thrill Kill, Snake Driver, The Jesus and Mary Chain, what? Time Baby 3, Medicine, and I Can't Rain all the time, Jane Syberry. Listen, I love this. I played it to death. I was looking for it today. I was like, do I still have it? Because I did have CDs stolen and stuff as a kid, and unfortunately I didn't. I wanted to actually pull that joker out, and I realized I don't have this one anymore, but it was my first CD of all time, and I had to have it on here. When I think of soundtracks, I had to go. I just wasn't sure if I was going to have it 4, 3, 2, or 1. So there he is, The Crow.
Yeah, I knew this was here. I am interested to see what your George is because I thought this was going to.
There he is.
Where it's
Alex, there you are.
Yeah, look at this one. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a soundtrack that'll never get out of my head.
Hey, wait. Here's fun thing. Pee-wee, most of that was done by Danny Elfman. There you go. Those guys are crazy awesome. But yeah. what do you think about the Crow? You guys,
Francis.
Yeah. So the Crow is a certain type of music. Is that in y'all's wheelhouse or not?
Yeah, so the Crow that comes right in the middle of my gangsta rap phase. So I am not a fan of the Crow movie or the soundtrack. I recognize some of the bands, and yes, I did like some of their songs, but I never really got into the Crow. Like my version of the Crow, for what it sounds like for you, you just love the movie, love the soundtrack. That was in my phase where probably Boys in the Hood would be my comparable, where I love the soundtrack just because I love the movie because I thought I was a gangsta. Don't hold that against me.
I went through that phase too, man. I went through that phase. I've got my whole album that I opened up today, like all of them were mostly gangster rap, to be honest. And I have a whole bunch of soundtracks on this list that I'm not mentioning today because they're all gangster rap. I mean, there are a ton of really good ones. And look, I'm not against gangster rap, and I'm not against that, but this is a PG-13 show, and a lot of that is not stuff that I would listen to anymore. It just isn't. And there's a lot of stuff even on this Crow album I really wouldn't listen to either. But it just is. It's that. Yeah. So Alex, there he is. So Alex was my captain, and in Iraq, man. We love to have you, dude. I can't wait to have you on. He's going to come on the show. Alex, we'll chat about what we're talking about. Cody, what are you Crow fan? No? Yes?
So my wife is a huge fan of The Crow, and she's really excited about this new remake of The Crow. She loves the music, where I'm like, it's okay. And occasionally I'll just throw out "It Can't Rain All the Time" at her, just because I'm like, that's kind of a cheesy line, but it's iconic. And so I respect The Crow. I actually enjoy watching it, and I'm hopeful for this new Crow. So as far as soundtracks, it's not my jam, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So I will say this. I will share this. At this time when this came out, mid 90s, high schooling, whatever, I had a couple different loves, right? Couple different loves. And one of them was my rap side. We're from New Orleans, so I had like everything that known to man, from No Limit and Cash Money and all that junk. And then East Coast versus West Coast and that whole stuff, all that. But then on the other side, I had my alternative friends and kind of rock. And when I left out of to go into college, this fraternity that I joined, they were absolutely head over heels in love with bands like Rage Against the Machine, 311, and stuff like that. So I kind of left that for a period of phase and went into that. But for me, there is very few genres of music that I don't like. I just don't. And that's why us at the Rushmore show, we can kind of do a little bit of everything. I might not be perfect in like mastery at it, but I do have some touch in some of them. And this is all about nostalgia, 100%. This has everything to do with bringing me back to 1995, 4, 3, whatever it was, the mid 90s, and I love it. I love it to death. So
good pick, man. Good pick. I know we've been talking
about
Iowa.
The pictures don't do it justice. To be honest, go check the new trailer out. It just released a couple days ago, or not too long ago. But anyways, Bayou Geek has it tattooed, dude. I love it. Hey, that Bayou Geek is a pop guy. Anybody looking for pops? You like pops? Any Funko Pops? That's your man right there, Bayou Geek. I might have to get me a Crow Pop, Bayou Geek, man. That might be something I need to put up here on the shelf. So, all right, Andy, Link.
All righty. All right. Yeah. So this is technically a Disney movie, so it does fit on my list here. But I'm going not when it was released, but now it is, and I'm going with Star Wars: A New Hope. Yeah, there's no doubt. This had to be on the list. This how it opens. If you go back to year one, where we did Star Wars, our top 4 Star Wars characters, we actually sang the intro music, all with our voices, a cappella.
Dude,
you're welcome.
Fantastic. It might be one of my favorite intros.
Yeah, back
we're all
in
like,
the
bum, and somebody else is doing the other horns and everything. Oh gosh.
I'll say this. Obviously because this Imperial March, you got Cantina Band, you got like all of these cool, like great iconic ones that are on this movie itself. And again, yes, Duel of Fates. If I was picking us, like, it's absolutely in the Rushmore of songs when it comes to Star Wars. But to me, I couldn't leapfrog, just like you said, Kirk, past what is probably like, it's almost to me like, you know how like you go to third world countries and people still know what Coca-Cola is, or like
that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
You're born knowing these songs. It feels like it's just become a part of our culture. It's so good. Again, Duel of the Fates might be one of the most epic ones, but as far as overall being iconic, it can't.
When that double blade happened in the theater,
oh gosh, yeah,
whatever it was, 10 years later, and they were, and that thing,
yeah,
I was like, oh my goodness, and then he got cut in half. I'm sorry if you haven't watched it, and I was like, what the heck?
At this point, spoiler alert, it's on you. This movie, you couldn't go past this. This is, again, John Williams. We said it. I could have gone a million different routes on this one, but yeah, got to go with Star Wars. I know we talked about it a bunch, so and we're already past the hour and a half mark. So hey, look, 12 people still hanging out with us. We're going long today. That's what happens when we have 4 people. That's when we have when we get into something that we're really passionate about. But yep, my link is definitely Star Wars: A New Hope.
Well, good news is we're at the George, friends, and that means it's number 1. This is this is what we think is the best soundtrack of all time. And Dave, you're first to mention the George. Finish off these mountains.
So when we started talking about this, and you guys invited us on so graciously, when we started talking about the subject of movie soundtracks, I immediately knew that there was one soundtrack that I was going to say was the best. This guy is a legend. He is the legend is he was self-taught on every instrument ever made. I believe he's probably one of the best, if not the best, guitar players of all time. He was an all-state point guard in high school in Minnesota. He's also responsible for the best Super Bowl halftime performance of all time. He is chilled straight from the waters of Lake Minnetonka. I'm talking about a movie called Purple Rain, and the soundtrack that is just it's just amazing. It's the best. There's not even room for debate when it comes to me about this soundtrack. I had this on cassette I bought this on cassette so many times because even the pencil trick couldn't bring back some of these cassette tapes. A little story about this. There's a legendary story about this where the director of the movie goes to Prince one night after filming, and he says, "We need 2 more songs." And so Prince pulls an all-nighter. He goes back to the studio, and he comes back the next morning, and he hands the director a tape. 2 songs that he came up with in one night. And the legend is those 2 songs were When Doves Cry, and I think the other one was maybe Let's Go Crazy, which is just insane to think about. An absolute musical icon. Prince, Purple Rain, that's my George.
You know, I am going to shout this from the rooftop. So I'll go first here. Listen, go back to my concerts. We already talked about MC Hammer. Go back to my concerts. My George of concerts ever was going to Prince with Grand Central Station and literally take the roof down. But at that time, he was the artist formerly known. R.I.P. Prince. I love the Super Bowl nod. I think it is because of the rain and what our Lord Jesus Christ has showered down at a perfect time in the perfect spot. Yeah, listen, I'm just going to throw this out there. It is one of the most iconic movie moments of all time when that happened. But the soundtrack, it is on my it was within a few of going to be one of my first things I mentioned in the Benjamins. because it is absolutely a banger from front to back. In Prince, I am a huge fan. I mentioned him in guitarists. I mentioned him in vocalists. I mentioned him in concerts, and we're mentioning him now in soundtracks. He is a legend, a legend. He was a little weird, little off the kilter, but hey, I'm gonna tell you, as far as a artist, can't pass it up. Good pick.
Yeah, it's really good. It goes without saying. I mean, I think that I don't know many people that you're going to mention this to that are going to disagree. With Prince and his ability and just the soundtrack in general. The only reason it doesn't make mine, and it's obviously criteria and things like that. It's before my time, but I can appreciate it enough to know that it's fantastic. There's no denying that. So if I know if it's before my time, there it is. Look at him.
Oh, let's go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Let's get
that. Purify yourself.
Let's get that in high def. Show that again. Show that.
Oh God, pull that back out. Here we go.
That's an amazing shirt.
Purify yourself. That looks like we need to repurpose that into a shirt for today.
I love it. I love it.
So that shirt is the Charlie Murphy skit on Dave Chappelle's show. But then Prince loved that skit so much he used that picture of Chappelle as Prince on his album later on before he passed. So that's a phenomenal soundtrack, top to bottom. I had Dave go first because I knew he would mention it and I wouldn't feel bad for not mentioning it. And so I feel good that you took it. And also the movie's so bad. So bad. Like riding around on a motorcycle.
It's very 1980s. It's
yes.
Yeah, it's there. Hey,
so look, I'm gonna head out.
See you later. Hey, so a couple comments here. Andy, I'm gonna click them. I can't believe no one's mentioned Disorderlies. Listen, hey, I'm not gonna lie. This is fun, and it's on my list of Benjamins that would never get to it because it's just not in the top. But that's a good call, Kevin. By the way, right here, Iowa Retro Gamer Dad, Prince did such a great job at Batman. It's down. It's possibly down there. And Huey Lewis in the News, it's definitely down there. I'm just gonna throw it down there. And if somebody doesn't take it, it's probably getting taken. And Wasabi. Hey, everybody, Spine Ticks. If you want to be a part of a great community of creators and people and whatever, look, Spine Ticks is killing it. Yeah, he goes live on Saturday nights. He invited us into the community through Bert. Bert's going to be on the show in a couple weeks for music. Bert's beats. Bert's taking a break from being on social media, so he's probably not on right now. But Spine Ticks, that's Sith Lordly. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. We love you, man. Appreciate it so much. Go check out Spine Ticks. He is killing the game for community if that's what you want. All right, man. So anybody have any other comments that they want to mention for Purple Rain before we jump to Cody? Great pick. It's a great pick. So, Cody, you're up. George.
Okay, so my George, it is my wife's pick. She brought it up, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. It's not one of my favorite movies, but it's not a bad movie. And it features maybe the all-time greatest cover because I completely forget that Dolly Parton ever wrote and sang this song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know where we're going.
I Will Always Love You from the hit movie The Bodyguard. Yes, The Bodyguard. I mean, you go through this. I Will Always Love You. I Have Nothing. I'm Every Woman. Her version of Jesus Loves Me. Like, I wish we would play that at my church on Sunday, but we don't. Aaron Neville and Kenny G are on this soundtrack. This soundtrack is top to bottom. It is a solid listen. And so it is my George, even though it's a movie I prefer not to watch, but Leah watches it every time it's on. So shout out to my wife, Leah.
Hi, Leah. Thanks for joining the Rushmore show on Facebook. We appreciate you. And hopefully you're watching this and seeing him. But anyways, hey, Bodyguard. It's not even in my top 60. It's not even there for me. I'm going to tell you this. It has the best song in the history of soundtracks with that one. And then the rest, I was like, what else is even on there? I don't even have an idea past that song. But I mean, you brought up some good bands. I couldn't put together two. I was like, so I'm putting it on the mountain for Whitney, and it's a great song.
Whitney can carry a whole album.
Whitney was. You stay tuned. Next week we're doing Ladies of Rock, right? And we've done vocalists. So Whitney was on vocalists several times. Ladies of Rock. We'll tell you who all the real Ladies of Rock are next week, right, Andy? I know you have a couple picks, but hey, I love Whitney. I do love Whitney. She's fantastic. And look, not bashing the pick, but it is widely almost every list I pulled up, top 3, easy, top 3, 4. It's there. Your wife is a very smart person because it's what everybody considers. But, like we said, this is our favorite. So
Dave has a rebuttal.
High five, Dave.
Oh no, I'm just wondering. I'm just raising my hand because I want to react to this.
Go ahead.
We got to react to this. Number one, if y'all could clip that part out where he says "I'm every woman," that would be great. I would love that clipped out. But honestly, this was on my Benjamin's list. This is an excellent
nice.
Wasn't my favorite, but it's been parodied in other movies. I can think of Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore. It's unbelievable soundtrack.
All right. Well, hey,
track is whack. Jeez. Well, that's what happened. So, wit. So, all right, my turn. So I had Top Gun at this spot right here at the George. This is number 1. This is going to be, so look, we were rocking. We started off with cartoon, then we went to composer, then we went to cult. Now we're going to classic, and I'm going with the other one that I had to have on the mountain, which I'm sure Andy would probably take on his first pick in the second round, but I'm going with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I'm going with John Hughes. Listen, I can pick every single John Hughes movie, and this one is the best. When you talk about iconic, there are so many songs on here. I was listening to the whole thing today, and I was like, oh, yeah. And by the way, the Star Wars theme is on this soundtrack. It funny thing. But, look, take my breath away in the kitchen because she heard you say Top Gun. Listen, Top Gun is amazing. But listen, that one was already picked, and I'm getting an opportunity to get another one. So Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I've got a couple of the lists of songs right here. Like just the bow, that whole dude. But you have Dunka Shane, darling Dunka Shane. Look, Wayne Newton. Are you kidding me? But listen, so many good songs. And this, when I think of 1980, baby now. Listen, twist that. But I love the idea that this has a blend of things. It has old, it has, for at that time, new 80s. It was bringing in all these other kind of places. But to me, I had to have an 80s hit here because I'm the 80s guy. I love the 80s. And I had to think of what is 80s? To me, it's date movies. Top Gun was the top date movie in my mind, everything. But John Hughes. I mean, and if John Hughes doesn't have a few more that reach in the Benjamins, I guess you guys just don't watch 80s movies, but like they're all there. So this is it. I'm going Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Bro. Love Missile F-111. Nobody even knew the name of that song, but if I play that, you all know that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Yeah, I mean, you just know.
Oh yeah,
it's fantastic.
Boom City, wow, wow. Yeah, that's such a good. I love that movie too much.
Listen, Kennedy. Apparently, that's not Kennedy, right?
I've always said Kennedy, and it says can't hit it or something. I'm still gonna
Can't
say
hit it. Anyways, Ferris Bueller has been on our show 100 times. If you've watched, been around long enough, you knew it's not a shock. It's been on intros. It's been all over the place. Boys, do you like Ferris? Bueller?
Yeah.
Bueller?
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's a great movie. So we do something on our podcast that's similar to what y'all do with the Rushmore show here. We call it a pop culture draft episode. And we recently did a pop culture draft with coming of age movies where we picked, like, we do it kind of like fantasy sports where we have guests and we do the picking. And none of us picked a John Hughes movie. And so I have a theory on this because I played around with tons of I'm sorry, I just lost his name, but this happens to me. My brain goes blank. But
are you talking about Ferris?
No, John
Hughes.
So I have a theory about this, that the John Hughes movies. So when I started thinking of the iconic songs, I figured out they were from different soundtracks, and I feel like John Hughes kind of, there's so many of them that they take away votes from each other, and so like I there wasn't one I liked top to bottom enough to put on my Rushmore, but I love all the soundtracks. I love them all, and for my money, what
I would love is a John Hughes soundtrack greatest hits.
Yes, yeah.
You take all of them and you take the one or two from each one. Fantastic.
If they have a John Hughes documentary, I'm sure that'll be the soundtrack for that documentary.
And am I wrong? But didn't he just pass recently too?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think it wasn't long ago. All these people are gone. Cody, Ferris.
So Ferris Bueller was always on TBS when I was a kid. So
save Ferris, man. Save Ferris.
Yes, and so I do enjoy the soundtrack. It didn't come to my mind, and now I'm kind of regretting it. But yeah, it has some very notable songs. So
yeah. It's kind of like when you said Top Gun and adding the Great Balls of Fire and all that. He's got like just a couple things that he sung, and the Star Wars theme, like when the car is launched. I mean, like there's so many different things in this movie that they use. John Hughes was awesome, and this one to me was his best. When I think of 80s, you picked the first one, but this is the next one that was going to be on my list. So, Andy, you're up. Finish off the mountain. Let's get to Benny's.
All right. Well, you were wrong when you said the best of the Disney movies as far as soundtracks go.
I'm hoping you take the one I took off the mountain.
Literally, no doubt, this is the greatest soundtrack of all time. I listened to it today, and it made me cry. Like this song, I'm a girl dad. It just happens, and just kind of a nod to last week. Let's bring the guitar out again.
Wait.
I was hoping so.
I had to bring it out again because this song is too good to not just sing it all together. So, when they're doing this, they didn't have to go this hard on this song. You'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart from this day on, now and forevermore. I'm going Tarzan. Absolutely.
Yes.
Zero down in the world. I mean, from top to bottom. Phil Collins all the way through this thing. There was like this meme that came out. It was all about how they're approaching him to like record this. It's like, hey man, it's just about a guy who gets adopted by a bunch of apes. No need to go that hard. But can I tell you, this whole soundtrack, 2 worlds, 1 family. I mean, come on, that's how we started.
2 worlds, 1 family.
Son of man, young man. Like Son of Man is great. The whole scat, like is amazing. Stranger Like Me. Dude, every one of these songs
I knew you well enough, man. I knew
you. Phil Collins' greatest hits album could include every song that's on the Tarzan soundtrack. It's so good. And I'll say this, movie is good. Yes. I don't put it in the top 4 Disney movies of all time by any stretch of the imagination. It's a good movie. I like it. I'll watch it. It's fine. But it is the best Disney soundtrack. You can give me Frozen all you want. You can give me all these new things. You can give me all of that. It's the best top to bottom Disney soundtrack that's out there. This is amazing. I love this soundtrack. Like I said, dude, listen, I'm not even exaggerating when I say I was going to pick my daughter up from Carline today, and I put on "You'll Be in My Heart," and I was like, "Why am I crying? Why am I crying?" Because it's so good. It's just so good.
Dude, I know you well enough. I love it. So here's the deal. We have talked about this probably for years, but probably even before we even did the Rushmore show. We'd always say it's the most under the radar soundtrack or album from Disney ever, because nobody speaks it because of the movie. But bro, Uncle Phil brings it. And look, I'm a Phil Collins guy. I'm a Genesis guy. I love it. I absolutely and when I played it today for my wife, she's like, "Are you serious? You're gonna put that over Lion King?" I'm like, "It's fantastic." And she's like, "No, you cannot do that." And I said, "All right. But I got a feeling that Andy was gonna do it anyways." Now, yeah, "You'll Be in My Heart" won an Oscar. Absolutely, dude.
It deserved it.
Phil Collins. I mean, all you gotta do is say Phil Collins.
And he was on my. He's not in great health right now, too. So he's
God. Listen. I'm going to go out here and say this. We're not jinxing him because he is not in good health. He is not in good health. So do not come at me in the comments, boys. You guys, I should probably say, man, Pop Culture Pastor. We have mentioned several people on this show before in the past, and within the next wait, what just happened? Like we're still in the comments talking. Somebody posted an RIP. Like it's happened. Betty White was the one that started it. We had a birthday party for Betty White previously to her birthday, and she didn't make it to her birthday. We had to re-record it. Oh man,
that hurts.
That does hurt. Too. Yeah, go look at episode number 3. I think it's 3, right, Andy? Episode 3. Just watch the beginning, just the intro. Just watch the intro part. Everybody today, when you leave, go watch episode number 3 and just watch the intro. And then after the intro, watch the rest of the show. It looks totally different because in the intro, in the original, we did a birthday party for Betty White 2 weeks before her birthday, and she passed away like 2 days later.
No, the week of, because I was there.
It's crazy.
It's nighttime.
Yeah, but episode 3 didn't come out while you were here. Episode 3 came out in the 3rd week of January. So that was her birthday. It was on Martin Luther King.
I thought he was saying he was with Betty. He was there. Andy,
Black Lamb.
I would just like to agree with you. All due respect to Elton John and the Lion King. I don't know what it is about Phil Collins where he gets constantly overlooked, but this soundtrack, I believe, is the best Disney soundtrack. And Phil Collins, all he ever did was do bangers. Against All Odds, Take Me Home Tonight. Everyone knows In the Air Tonight. And Phil Collins, all we do is ignore him. There will never ever be any Phil Collins slander on our podcast because he's the man.
Listen, all you got to do is pull up the MTV videos for him, and because he has a ton of them. Because I was looking at all of them when we did the videos for MTV. I almost put him in our vocalists, and I almost put him in our drummers just so I could talk about him. He's a shy off of both of those. If you're talking top 4, well, you slam them together, you add Genesis, and you add all the things he's done. Legend. All right,
rats, man.
Way to finish off the mountain. Hey, Rev, see you later. Thank you for being here. We totally appreciate you so much. Hey, look, now it's time for the Benjamins. And look, we're running that. We're pushing that time. So let's get started with our honorable mentions are all about the Benjamins. Yeah, usually over here on the Rushmore show, we go an hour and a half, hour and 45. We just love talking today, so we're going to go a little bit longer. Our honorable mentions. Here's our honorable mentions, guys. We got 11, still hanging out. Man, if you can, share the love. Keep spamming those comments. Let us know what are some other honorable mentions that you got. Now, this is how we do it. If this is your first time here, we go kind of like what you were saying earlier, Dave, fantasy draft. So, Dave, you're going to have the first pick, and then Cody, then me, then Andy. And then it's going to come back second round, Andy, me, Cody, then you. And then you're going to get us back-to-back picks there, Dave, and go back, and Andy will get back-to-back picks, and we'll finish off. And that means, Dave, that not only do you get the first pick of the draft, you also have Mr. Irrelevant. You have the last pick of all of them. Here's the one caveat. We cannot say a single movie that has already been said or that will be said. So all of these are brand new movies. So you're up, Cody. And oh, by the way, you don't. Oh, Dave is first. Dave is first. Yep, Dave is first. Dave, you're up. But we don't have to go into a whole bunch on this. These are just honorable mentions to throw out. Boom, boom, boom. One or two things, and we'll get moving, and we'll finish up our show. So, Dave, you're first.
Yeah, this is one of those.
What's your first honorable mention?
What's that?
What's your first mention?
Oh, yeah. This is one of those where the movie influences me into a new realm of music that I previously hadn't really listened to before. I'm going to go with "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
There we go.
Where's
so
Aaron?
much.
Is Aaron still in the comments? Is Aaron still in the comments? We talked about this one today. It's on my list. You took it off my bennies.
Yeah, this was
off my list.
Some of my favorite songs. "Down on the River to Pray." Of course, "I'm a Man of Constant Sorrow" by the Soggy Bottom Boys themselves. "Didn't Leave Nobody But the Baby." Some at one point haunting, but at the same time fun. Like it's just this kind of old-fashioned style music. And "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" is a great movie, great soundtrack.
Good job. Good pick, man. Good pick.
All right, Cody.
Sorry, fellas.
Cody, you're up.
Okay, so the movie that I picked in the soundtrack, I listened to this on my iPod back in the day in college. I wrote papers to this soundtrack. Wow. It's a good coming of age movie and soundtrack. It's a good soundtrack to listen in the car. If you're not a fan of Pearl Jam, you probably don't know who their lead singer is, but Eddie Vedder, his music for Into the Wild, top to bottom, can listen to this on repeat. So Into the Wild is my first Benjamin.
Wow, that's a great pick. That's a great pick. So look, I'm going to just throw this.
Sorry, Eddie
dude, I love Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam. Awesome. So I'm going to go with the only Disney movie left that should be mentioned, aside from maybe some Star Wars or whatever, Aladdin. That's going to be my next pick. To me, that's the top three: Aladdin, Lion King, and Tarzan. The other Elton John, but I'm going to go with Aladdin. Fantastic score. Fantastic. My second favorite movie if we ever do Disney cartoons. Go ahead. Nice. Are up, Andy. Back-to-back jacks.
Back-to-back picks. All right, this one's coming out of left field, but not if you know who I am. The movie is probably the worst movie we're going to mention all day, but I have
a feeling you're going to steal the one I was going to just take.
I don't think you were taking this one. I know you weren't taking this one.
Let's see.
I'm going with "Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park," just because I can get a bunch of Kiss songs in one. I'm a big Kiss fan, so they have "Radioactive," "Almost Human," "Man of a Thousand Faces," "Rock and Roll All Night," "Shout Out Loud." I mean, it's Beth. It's literally just Kiss music throughout the whole movie. I had to throw it out there. But yeah, so that's going to be one. And then my next one, this was just, and again, not because you know what, let me take one that I think somebody might take, because I think my other one is pretty secure. With my next one, I'm going to pick, let's go to this one. I am going to Forrest Gump, the soundtrack. I'm going to go. The original score is beautiful, is fantastic. But there's just so many really good songs. You know, it brings you back to a time. "Fortunate Son" by CCR, "California Dreamin'." You got The Doors. You got just all of these really cool Leonard Skinners in it. Just a lot of cool classic rock stuff. Brings you back in time. So there's my first two picks of my Benjamins. Now we're going back to you, Kirk.
Yep, back to me. And I have a very long list, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best. Actually, I know what's the best one. All right. I've mentioned this. If you go, here's a shout out to Fave 5 from fans and Jamie Ray. I did disaster movies with him, and I'm going with the best disaster movie soundtrack, Armageddon. That is a lot of Aerosmith.
I don't want to miss a thing.
I love it. Going with Armageddon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great pick. All right, back to Cody.
Yep. So I'm going off the beaten path again, and I thought the soundtrack would have a lot of Tears for Fears. It doesn't. It played it throughout the whole movie nonstop, but it's a lot of scores, and then there's one song, and it is Mad World. I'm talking about Donnie Darko.
Oh yeah,
good soundtrack, good movie.
Yes, that is my selection.
I just want to point out, man. Kevin just threw this out there. Does the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie count? Can't keep them Swifties down. Thanks for
hey, you got some Kansas City folks in here, Kevin. Yeah,
hopefully saying Taylor Swift helps the algorithm here.
Oh, I don't know, Andy. I didn't know if you knew that, right? You know that they're Kansas City guys.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna hold it against them, but
yeah. Well, anyways, so we'll talk about that at another time. Queen of the Damned, right? Oh, so by the way, Iowa Retro Gamer wants to really make sure we see this. Queen of the Damned, that is a fantastic pick. It is a fantastic pick. It is on my list, but I have such a long list.
Who's on that? Disturbed? Isn't it Disturbed and Korn and all that kind of new metal type stuff? Yeah. All right. Well, hey, look, let's come back. Dave, you're going to get back-to-back picks now because you'll end second round, begin the third round. What's your next two picks?
Yeah, this one will be a compliment to my George. This is another soundtrack by Prince. Someone mentioned it in the comments, and I'm glad nobody took it, but it is the Batman soundtrack from 1989 by Prince.
Nice.
Thank you, because I wanted it off of my list, not because I don't love it, but because I have other ones to pick.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's awesome. But my favorite song on it is one people don't think about when they think about it. He did it with Sheena Easton. It's called "The Arms of Orion," and I would like to serenade you with it. The arms of Orion, that's where I wanna be. Since you've been gone, I've been looking for a lover in the sea of tranquility. Yeah, there you go. That's a great one. I love that soundtrack.
Andy's version.
Yeah,
you had some flowing hands. You were getting it. He was giving it to you.
I was about to start speaking in tongues, man. It was going to.
So, Dave, you get back-to-back Jags, man.
My next one, I think, man, I had to deliberate over this one a lot, but I'm going to go with the Gladiator soundtrack.
Yes,
a lot of Hans Zimmer in here. This was one I just listened to nonstop from beginning to end. I loved listening to it. I used to play basketball a lot in my 20s, and I would listen to this entire soundtrack.
I'm glad you used your height for something.
Yeah. So this is one of the best not named John Williams, in my opinion. Hans Zimmer is great at what he does, and the Gladiator, and it just takes you into the movie. Like, it just feels like you're in Gladiator when you listen to this soundtrack, and I love it.
I love that.
Fantastic pick. Fantastic pick, because here, let me just share real quick. Coming to me, my dog was named Maximus Decimus Meridius. Gladiator would be the George of movies for me, circa 2000 and probably up to like 10. I love that movie, and Hans Zimmer was one of the ones I mentioned when I talked about composers because of this movie. So, all right, yeah, Braveheart, absolutely. I see Braveheart down there. Now it's coming back our way, Cody. Come on.
So I'm going with the soundtrack that complements the movie perfectly, and it's a movie based off the Beatles' music, Across the Universe, featuring Bono and Eddie Izzard and Evan Rachel Wood, Jim Sturgis, a lot of people singing on this, and some very great covers, including the cover of Let It Be. Phenomenal.
Yeah, that's good.
Fantastic.
That's good.
So
I love that. All right, Kirk, we're back to you.
Fantastic pick. I'm really trying to avoid picking some of the movies that I said I wasn't going to pick, to be honest, because there's such a great list here. I'm going to go back into the 80s again. I'm going to dive back in the 80s and snatch up another movie. I'm going to go back in time. I'm going with Back to the Future, Huey Lewis in the News. I saw it over in our comments earlier. Going back in time. It's been on our show several times. Every time we say, let's go back, I've used that clip over and over again. It's on my trilogies. It's fantastic. I love it. Great job. And most of it's done by Huey. So, and those guys. So, you're up, Andy.
All right, last two. I had to throw these on there. And this one is going back to my high school time. The soundtrack for Freddy versus Jason. I
had that on a short list.
Metal fan. Here it is. Il Nino, Killswitch Engage, Spine Shank, Mushroom Head, Slipknot, Chimera, From Autumn to Ashes, Power Man 5000, Murder Dolls, Seether, Stone Sour, Devil Driver, Sepultura, The Blank Theory, Nothing Face, In Flames, Lamb of God. They were Typo Negative. They're all on this soundtrack. It is amazing. It's just a compilation album because all these songs were already songs that were out. But I was a big fan that of heavy metal, metalcore, thrash metal, all that kind of stuff. I like we said, playing in death metal bands and stuff like that back in the day. BC, you know what I mean? It was back in the day. But yeah, I put some of it on today and I was like, man, just reliving those days back then. But yeah, so Freddy vs. Jason, also kind of a cool movie if you into that stuff. Like I don't really watch that stuff anymore, but like I remember back in the day, it was really cool. Killer.
I had that on a short list of soundtracks because of just the lineup. I mean, the lineup
it's literally like Ozfest.
It kind of reminds me of that Singles one earlier.
Yeah, Kevin Sims said killer soundtrack. I think there's a pun there. I think that's what he's trying to do. And then my last pick, this soundtrack is so dang good. And what's really cool about this soundtrack is that it plays a vital role in the movie. And it means so much to the movie. There's it's addressed in the movie that it is a soundtrack. And I'm going with Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is way too good. I mean, hookah chaka, hookah. Like to start off that way, you know, you got the Raspberries, you just all of these fooled around and fell in love. Like the Jackson 5 is in it, the Runaways, ooh child. I mean, like so many good songs. It's kind of just like classic rock, classic kind of soft rock stuff. But the fact that the soundtrack is kind of integral to the movie, like it's a big part of the movie, I think just makes it leaps above some other things. So that's my final pick there. Kirk, we're coming back to you for your final pick, man.
By the way, one of our students, Mr. Brown's in here. One of our students is here. And I'm not sure which student that is because I haven't seen them actually post their name. But yeah, welcome to the show. And thanks for being here. So Guardians of the Galaxy was definitely 1, 2, and 3. They all kind of do the same thing. Big play vital mode. I love the whole idea. It brings a lot of those songs back. Andy, I'm just going to throw this out here. It's not my pick. I'm just really surprised Wayne's World didn't make it. It didn't. It's just that's your jam. So because it did bring you back for a half a second, and that's your favorite movie all time. I cannot believe you didn't pick it. But here, I'm going to go to a one that I thought this is the one I thought you might have picked earlier, Andy, if you knew it. Wasn't sure if you knew it. So I'm going to bring you back in time again. I'm going back in time to 1993. It's a really cruddy movie. It's not the best movie. It's a cool movie. It's kind of fun. It's campy. I remember it being something I enjoyed because of it being 1993, but the album way surpassed, kind of like, I guess, Blues Brother 2000, than the movie. I'm going with a movie with Dennis Leary called Judgment Night. And this, if you don't know anything about this little soundtrack, it was a mashup of all kinds of crazy artists together that probably never will and never have been ever together again. So first song, House of Pain and Helmet are together. Yeah. The next one is De La Soul and Teenage Fan Club. Then Run DMC and Living Color. Biohazard and Onyx, Ice-T and Slayer, Faith No More and Booyah Tribe, Cypress Hill and Sonic Youth, Sir Mix-a-Lot and Mudhoney, Dinosaur Jr. and Del the Funky, Therapy and Fatal, and Pearl Jam and Cypress Hill. This album was insanely cool. And all those bands, if you knew those bands and all that, you're like, wow, this is crazy to mix all this together. Oh, wait, that's not all of them, because I know Head PE is on there too. I didn't say them. Anyways, it's freaking fantastic. Yes, deep cut. And I was hoping nobody would take it. Judgment Night. When I thought of soundtracks, I'm like, where can I find one that like nobody's going to know? And I was hoping that you wouldn't pick it, Andy.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to pick that one. So, Cody, last pick, man. Where you at?
Okay, so I also had in my mind a soundtrack that no one was going to pick. And the reason that I picked this one is because you guys are going to do your Women of Rock episode. And this features maybe the most underrated Pat Benatar song. And the song's so good. And evidently the movie was so bad that Pat Benatar's like, no, you can't release or share this movie ever again. This movie is called The Legend of Billie Jean, and it features Pat Benatar's Invincible. Phenomenal song. So good, so good. Billy Idol's Rebel Yell is on it. The Vinyls are on it. And literally, Pat Benatar's like, yeah, this movie's trash. We're not going to let you keep releasing it. And so, like, you can't even watch it if you wanted to. But you listen to the song because Invincible is really good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. A couple movies we're not able to see yet. So, all right, Dave, you have what we consider Mr. Irrelevant. You have the Brock Purdy of this draft. Where are we going with the final? No more soundtracks can make it on the list. This is it.
Do you guys mind if I take a minute to testify here a little bit?
Oh, go ahead. Come on.
So I came to the church in my 30s after the most I knew about Jesus was Charlie Brown Christmas special, right? But since I've been saved, since I've been a pastor, I loved pop culture growing up. I can see actually where God was trying to reach me in my life through pop culture. That's part of the reason why we do this pop culture pastor thing. One of those ways was I was absolutely jamming to a soundtrack that's going to take you guys by surprise. Because in the middle of my gangster rap phase, I'm also a huge fan of a Steve Martin movie called Leap of Faith. Now, the movie is about a shyster preacher, traveling preacher, who goes around, bilking people out of their money, putting on these shows, but comes to what you are led to assume is faith. They don't really tie it together at the end. You're left to imagine what happens. But the soundtrack is amazing. So right in the middle of my gangster rap listening phase, I'm listening to the church choir music, Patti LaBelle, Ready for a Miracle, John Pagano, Changing My Life, King of Sin medley. Wynonna Judd, Don Headley.
I love it. Let's go.
Blessed Assurance is on this soundtrack. Of course,
Meatloaf.
Mr. Loaf, the meat of loaf, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, who was in the movie. I adore this movie. I adore this soundtrack. Leap of Faith.
Wow. Hey, isn't that cool, man? God can work through a Steve Martin movie.
Cool.
So, fun fact, Kirk had Steve Martin on his comedians, and I got hammered for it. I love Steve Martin. Love him. Yeah. Hello. Oh, this must be one of y'all's friends. Sandy, Frazier, Everly. Is that one of you folks?
Yes, Sandy is from my church, and so was the Allstott fan. His name's Eric.
Nice. Well, welcome to the show, Sandy. Thank you for being here. We are also some pastors, and we love Lord, and we love Jesus, and we're about to talk about that. Thank you guys for being here. That is our Rushmore of soundtracks. I know there's a ton. I'm about to drop a list of about 60 in the comments. Be sure to check us out next week, where we're going to have another guy who preaches at cons named Dave Mattingly on for Ladies of Rock. Dude, I am so pumped for this. Ladies of Rock is going to be a jam. And look, April 20th, we're going to be at St. Tammany Collectors Con. Hopefully you come down in Mandeville, Louisiana for the con. It's a 2-day con. Sergeant Slaughter is going to be there. Ming from Comic Book Men. There's Ninja Turtles folks. There's comic book artists. Robbie Musso's back again. John McCarthy's back again. We'll hit up with all those guys, have some shorts, some Rushmores. We'll be live the whole time. If you put down in the comments right now, anybody who puts down in the comments hashtag STCC or hashtag reboot at STCC, we will be pulling prizes for you guys live on the show. We're also preaching at that show. Andy's got the pulpit this time. I'm assuming it's going to have something to do with some of the things that we just said, but we're going to have a blast. Thank you for all the people that are here. That's Reboot. And coming up, we have 90s Country on deck. We have several others that are coming for music. Alex, I think, might come down for music. I got my buddy Josh coming in for movies. We've got all kinds. We've got Five Nights at Freddy's actors coming on for movies. We've got a stuntman that played in Stargirl. He's coming in for movies. We've got Dope Smack, who's got his brand new movie coming out and comic book out, coming in for movies. We've got several other those guys. If you know anybody that we should connect with that should be on our show or we should connect with for us to be on their show, please put it down in the comments. If you have any prayer requests, put them in the comments. Best way to find us is all down at the bottom. We have every one of the socials. Go check us out at Discord. That's where our real-time conversation can happen if you need us for anything. We're gonna start releasing Christian content on Sunday mornings very soon. Stay with us, and hopefully we get to launch what we think might be something like the Christian Creator Coalition. Hopefully our friends, Pop Culture Pastor, will at least entertain and kind of maybe help us out with a little bit. But we have tons of people on the back burners that have been on this show, and that's what we're going to do. Thank you guys for supporting us so much. This is the longest show I think we've ever done, and we still have 9 people out. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you for being here. Andy, what do you want to tell everybody?
Well, hey, additionally, with the reboot at STCC, we have got worship will be a part of that too. So I'll be, since I'm the only one with an instrument, I'll be.
And David Finn's going to come and hit the cajon for us, isn't he?
Yeah, we got David Finn on the cajon. We're going to do some worship. We're going to start it off, and I'm excited, kind of working through that message right now, honestly. But yeah, it's just a huge blessing to just have that opportunity. Kind of like you said, Dave, earlier, just like feeling like it's a mission field that we don't really talk about. You know, we talk about unreached people groups, and we talk about countries, and certainly those are absolutely unreached people groups. They're everywhere, but sometimes they're right in our backyard, and sometimes they don't look like what we think they would look like. So it's just amazing to have that opportunity to kind of go out there, share the love of Christ is what it's all about. So we look up to you guys, stuff, I think Kirk made a post a while back about all the inspirations and different things behind that. But this is amazing. And kind of like Blues Brothers, we're on a mission from God. Right. You know, right. But hey, man, look, super appreciate you guys being on here. Hey, one last time before we say goodbye, Dave, Cody, let them know where they can find you. Just tell them, do your little spiel. Tell them about Pop Culture Pastor. We got some people maybe who joined a little bit later.
Yeah, Pop Culture Pastor is a podcast. You can find us on Apple, Spotify. Just look for the logo here. That's because there is another Pop Culture Pastor out there who's a little bit different than us. But yeah, find us on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube. We're on there, as well as Good Pods. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We just joined Instagram, so we're getting around to it. But yeah, we'd love to have you. We talk about pop culture.
I love it.
Well,
So
whenever you need us, we'll be there. Christian Creators Unite. That's what I like to hear. So, man, Cody, thank you. You have a last minute thing you might want to share?
Love being on. It was fun, and look forward to more collaborations in the future.
Let's do it again, man. Let's definitely do it again. Andy, you know how we do this.
Let's say goodnight like we always do. This is the Rushmore show, where it's all about your top 4.
Top 4.
And nothing more.
What are you doing?
Peace.